We're with you in moments, big and small. This is Polk Today Video. The Polk County Chamber of Commerce, with the help of the Polk County Republican Party and sponsor Advent Health Redmond, provided the opportunity for local residents to hear from candidates for the county commission races in the May 24th primaries on Tuesday, April 26, 2022. Candidates were given equal time to answer several questions posed by audience members, and those that weren't asked due to time constraints will be featured on polktoday.com after the questions have been forwarded to candidates via the chamber and written responses are sent onward to us for posting. Polk Today coverage of the candidate forum is being provided in several parts since each question was posed to every candidate without division by district, so as to be able to watch this nearly 2-hour-long session in easier to digest chunks, without any edits other than to add the watermark and this brief message at the beginning of each part. You can watch the other parts of the 2022 candidate forum in separate videos here on YouTube, Facebook, and polktoday.com. Coverage of the candidate forum is brought to you by Polk Today sponsors like Gammon, McFall, and Villarao, attorneys at law in Cedartown, the Development Authority of Polk County, and the City of Rockmart, who are celebrating Georgia Cities Week during their sesquicentennial year with an event coming up this Friday night, April 29th. Check out polktoday.com for more on that movie night fun ahead later this week in Rockmart. Don't forget to find additional coverage of the candidate forum on polktoday.com.
And Ricky Clark couldn't make it tonight due to health issues, so unfortunately he's not with us tonight. I believe we have some questions now. Also, we have a photographer here from the 14th District, and John Dells, so reach out to John if you want any photos. You work for the 14th or for Marjorie?
Works for us.
Oh. Question number one. Are you ready? We're going to go around. We don't have a timer. We have Lydia back there. So Lydia from Mosaic Place. Wave Lydia. She's awesome. She's on billboards all across Northwest Georgia right now. She's a huge deal. She's going to wave when it's time to stop, right?
She can give them 30 seconds.
All right.
Wave, and she's mean, y'all. She really nice.
I think it's actually making noise at 5 minutes, so I'll wave when you have about 30 seconds left.
Cool. All right, we're going to start over here with Mr. Hawkins. We're going to go around. Question number one is, what one issue do you feel is most important to Polk County citizens, and how will you address it?
I think the number one issue for citizens, and like I said in my welcome, I'm just an ordinary citizen. It's we feel like, most citizens feel like they have no say in what's happening with their local government, and that's a big issue. This turned a lot of voters off, and I think, you know, if we can get back to get more engagement, and I've seen it, of course, through the military and through Polk School District, you can't get anything done without engagement. Those people are your rock. You know, you're there to serve them, and I think that's one of the biggest issues. And yeah, I know we've got, you know, economy, and we've got conditions in the county that need to be addressed, but without that tax base and without that support, without those people feeling like they got a say in what's happening, we're not going to get anything accomplished. And that might not be, you know, a big political issue, but that's how I feel, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the same way. So we've got to reach out to these people and get them more involved. You know, right now people are turning off left and right that are not in any kind of political realm whatsoever. Half of them don't vote. Look at the voter turnout for Polk County, and this is a midterm, and we've got some pretty big ballots out there, governor and so forth. But the voter turnout is going to be poor. I mean, it just is. So you can look at the past year's records on that. And when it's an off year too, it's even worse than that. I mean, so we've got to get those people back in. A, because that's our tax base. B, that's the ones that we're supposed to be serving. If we're not reaching out to them, then we've got some major problems coming down the road. At some point in time, people are going to be like, you know what? Why am I paying all this money in taxes when I have no representation? And I think that's a big issue. Like I said, it's probably not a big political. It's not, you know, right up there with all the hashtags that everybody has. But again, I'm just the guy that lives here in Polk County, and that's how I feel. And I'm sure that a lot of residents feel the same way. So the number one issue, again, I feel like, is we've got to get people involved in what we're doing. We got to make the citizens in charge of everything that's going on, and we got to be clear and transparent with everything that we're doing with their dollars. So without their dollars, there's no way that we're going to have a county commission, because they have nothing to do other than maybe meet and play cards, so, that's my biggest issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Al?
Well, I've been on the board for 5 years, and I've never played cards. I've been on the board for 5 years, and let me tell you about the engagement. We have committees, as one of the commissioners said, and people can come. They can be a delegate. People can come to the meeting. I wonder how many people sitting up here on this board have been to the county commissioners meeting, and I bet some of them could count on their hands the number of times on one hand. You talk about engagement, we are available. We are available, have been available, and I can attest to that by the fact that the communication that I have with the citizens in this county. I think as far as problems, I would like to address one thing is that we have accomplished, and then one thing that we need to address that are important to this county. And believe me, there are needs. These are needs. These are not something that we want. These are needs. The first thing we needed was the radio system that went in effect last month. There are 2 reasons. One, we were notified a couple of years ago that the system that we had, the 911 system that we had, was old, obsolete, out of date, and as of September of 2020, there would be no parts available for it. So we had to go to work and look for a replacement. There were areas in our county that did not have 911 service. There were parts of Taylorsville, parts of Benton Mountain, parts of Eastham Hill, parts of Rocky Holler that had no coverage. Now, with this new radio system, every quadrant, this county was put into a half-mile quadrant, and every quadrant in this county has radio 911, public safety radio now. That's an accomplishment that was needed. The other thing that's needed as we face the next few years, we need to renovate and expand our courthouse. We are desperate in need of growing our judicial system. Before COVID, we had 800 criminal and civil cases that were open to be tried in this county. When COVID was over, we had 1,400. Now that we've been back and we actually converted this room, you can see the technology to have court here, and court was held here when we had a 3rd judicial judge come in. We need to renovate and expand our court system. We have over 2,800 criminal and civil cases that are on the books to be had. And we as a county commissioner need to provide the resources for them to have those court trials. I can't, and the commissioners can't decide the calendar, the judicial calendar. That's up to the Superior Court judges. But we can provide the resources to make sure that we have available facilities to have the trials. So let's get on with it. Let's have the trials. We're going to be working, and I think Scotty was with some architecture today deciding what we're going to do about renovating and expanding the courthouse. And I believe we're probably talking about $12 million to do that. So that's what I think we need to be working on, and I'll stop there. Before Lydia blows the horn.
Yeah. You doing good, Lydia?
They're doing really good.
So far, so good?
Yeah.
All right, Glenn, what one issue do you feel most important, Polk County citizens, and how do you address it?
Well, I know we've got a lot of good things going on in Polk County. The commissions have worked hard at it, and there's a lot of things that still needs to be done. Believe it or not, no matter how hard you try to provide to the people out here in our county, you're always going to get feedback. And it's just a coincidence, but the same thing that Jeff had talked about is what I'm hearing out there. We don't feel like we're part of the process. We got to have buy-in from people out here. No matter how good we're doing up here, if you can't communicate with the citizens that vote for you, you're liable to get voted out of office. But I hear that day in and day out. So how do you reach those people? Hey, I come to these county commission and work sessions and all as much as I can. I hear what they do, I read, I dig into the books, I do a lot of things out there for research. So I am well aware, but 90% of these people out here in the county, I asked them, did you see it in the newspaper? No, don't read the paper. Did you hear it on Pope today? No, not part of it. Did you see it anywhere else? No. So how do you reach them? They're not, reaching out to us. You got to go to them, some way or the other. So you got to sit up here. It's hard for a person like me. I feel like I'm humble to toot their own horn, but you got to let these people know. You got to put up big signs, SPLOSH project, let them know that money being spent on that road down here was donated through the SPLOSH funds. So even if it takes sending them mailers out to each voter in this county or each resident, that's what we need to do. And I would look into that very strongly, whether I win or lose, but if I win, which I feel confident that I will, we're going to do something about communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Linda, what one issue do you feel is most important to Polk County citizens?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that what Glenn said, the only time I've seen you at a commission meeting is when you're running. On the other commission meetings, I haven't seen you. So, but anyway, talking about being out there. But my number one, I feel like our county commission is responsible for stability and the safety of our citizens. And I feel like the number one thing is public safety. And as I talked about some of the accomplishments that we've done this last term, I'm going to bring some of them out right now because I think they're worth bringing out. As Hal mentioned, the 911 radio system. We only have 2, as he said, in this county. And as big as our county's getting, we will now have, when it's over with, 5 towers that will be able to, it was obsolete. The sheriff's office, the police, all the first responders, there was areas out there that they couldn't even talk to one another. And that is dangerous, folks. And with this radio system, we will be able to, they will be able to converse with one another, even into the other counties. That's how far it's going. So I'm very proud of this system that this commission has done. One of the other things that we've done is our volunteer firefighters. We have raised their compensation from $10 a fire to $30, and they also get compensation for training, which is very important. We went from 20 volunteers, and I think we have right now 62 volunteers that are coming in that are now volunteers to fight fires for our county. So I'm very, very pleased with that. We also have approved a full body scanner for our jail. And folks, this is very important because this is stopping the contraband from coming into our jails. So when you talk about the number one thing for public safety, as I told you before, I sit on the Public Safety Committee, and that's the number one thing I feel like is to keep our citizens safe. Thank you.
All right. I just want to remind everybody to try to stick to the question at hand. I'm going to Perry. What one issue do you feel is most important to Polk County citizens, and how will you address it?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. Narrowed down to one. I've already mentioned SPLOSH, but I'm going to pick up on public safety as well. And the thing that confuses me is, when you look at Polk County in comparison to other similar counties, similar populations, land distribution, tax base, industry, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the most comparable county we can use as a comparison, I find it very helpful to do comparisons time to time, is Haralson County. What confuses me is that when we look at the Polk County crime stats, we have twice the number of burglaries, larceny, and auto thefts as we do in Haralson County. And yet we have twice the number of police officers. Now, God bless our police. God bless our police, and we all respect our police and putting their lives on the line. It's not an indication of any lack of motivation or dedication by the individual officer. But we really need to we need to take a big step back, bring in an outside group to do a study on why it is our crime rate remains so high. 40% or more of the cases that are brought by the DA involve drugs. And if you take it beyond that, probably 80% of all cases that we're dealing with are related to drugs in some fashion. So I know you've heard that story before, but it's time that we really knuckle down and dealt with that. So my recommendation would be to bring in an outside group, bring in a consultant or maybe someone from the university system, take a big step back and take a look at what we can do, because it's going to hinder us in our efforts to make progress in other areas like economic development, which would be my number 2. But you got to deal with the crime, and it's like that frog in the frying pan, that you keep turning the heat up. We're living with this too long, and it's time now for us to deal with it. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be. The Polk County Commission can't resolve it, individually, but it can become a very strong focal point in working with with citizens and working with the school board and others let's deal with the drug problem on a multi-level basis. It's going to take all hands on deck. And as far as outreach, let me start with outreach. You have got to reach out. This is outreach. Outreach is your hand coming out like this. This is outreach. It's initiative on the part of elected officials to reach out to voters. It's not saying, hey, did you come to my meeting? I didn't see you at my meeting. Or you only come to my meeting when you're running for office. That's not outreach. Outreach is when you have quarterly meetings. You put your #1 stats on your website. What's your goal for next year, next 5 years? Put those numbers on your website, have quarterly meetings, reach out, get out in the community and reach out to the voters and listen to them. That's outreach.
All right, Perry. James, what one issue do you feel is most important to Polk County citizens, and how will you address it?
Well, when you talk about public safety, as Ms. Lyles has, that's my wheelhouse. I was a law enforcement officer for over 23 years. But public safety just does not entail enforcing the law, arresting criminals. You have issues of roads and bridges. You have the issues, like she said, about the fire department, equipment being upgraded, training upgraded. Rockmark recently acquired a drug dog. They had to ask for donations to purchase that animal. And they've had to get someone to donate a vest for the dog to protect it. So when you look at our public safety issues, we have crime in this county. As a matter of fact, there was a drug house busted right next door to me last November. 117 counts of possession, 2 people, convicted felons. So that is an issue in this county. But we need to take an overall look at the bigger picture. If our roads aren't safe, if our bridges aren't safe, if our departments don't have the proper equipment, then how can we fight crime? How can we take and ensure the public safety? I ride around this county a lot, and I look at the power lines and the right-of-ways. You've got dead trees laying on top of them. You got to coordinate that with the local businesses like Comcast Cable and Georgia Power to get people out here. We've got county crews that cut right-of-ways. Get them to report this stuff. So safety for the public is not just one general issue in crime, it's an overall picture. And we need to look at that and address it on a whole.
Thank you, James. Mr. Gary, what's the one issue you think is the most important to Polk County citizens?
Josh, there's several #1 issues. Of course, #1, we have to be careful. The commissioners are stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and we have to be careful as to how we spend those taxpayer dollars. Public safety, that's my, I think it's all of our concerns, and we have to do what we can for public safety. The chiefs, they pretty well, all they need to do is ask, and we'll give them what they need. As far as their priorities are concerned with those agencies, that's what we need to be careful and watch out. I do, however, we have been in a meeting today. Matter of fact, we mentioned Hal, I think, mentioned the courthouse and how tight it is down here. And Scotty and I and others have been in meetings today with engineers and architects about the courthouse. Now, if you've ever been in the courthouse and you take a tour of the courthouse, it's really sad knowing that those people down there they don't have the room. It's just so tight in there. If you ever went in the records room at the courthouse, there's records stacked up to the ceiling, and there's just jillions of them. So therefore, if you go in there, you have to go in there possibly at your own risk, because they're stacked so high that they could very easily just fall on someone. But that's one of the reasons that we did. We're contacting our architects and across the state to give us an idea about what we can do to expand that down there. So that and public safety, our firemen, volunteer fire department. You've already heard that we've been trying to help out the volunteer fire departments. We did tours of the fire departments and what their needs. That was just recent. We've all been doing it for a good long while, but there's so much that can be done with the volunteer fire departments. We've gave them a lot of equipment that they needed, been asking for a long time. So, and our public safety the same way. So, anything they need, and our priorities are there, watching after the money of the taxpayer. Thank you.
All right.
Hey there, folks. I'm Kevin, the editor. Thanks for tuning in to Polk Today's YouTube channel. Do us a favor and give this video a like. And if you really want more free local news and sports content, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when we have new content available. So if you could just go ahead and hit those buttons, that'd be great. Thanks.